people are not only not buying Nvidia GPUs, but they're returning them in numbers I've never seen before. I almost feel bad looking at this picture because this is a store that I love going to, Micro Center, and you can't blame it all on retailers. The blame really is with Nvidia's strategy and how they've really pummeled the gamer market into submission where nobody wants to buy a new 4070, and they're even returning GPUs that I never thought people would return. Do you notice something odd about this pile? It's not a bunch of crap GPUs. You're looking at a bunch of 4080s, 4090s. I mean, I can understand the 4080 if somebody gets like buyer's remorse, but remember the 4090 was really hard to get. In fact, most people bought it and they were really happy to even be able to get one. It kind of harked back to the days of the GPU shortage. It was the last GPU to really be in very high demand. The people who didn't buy it, they would just turn around and sell it. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor. Today's video sponsor is Jawa.gg. This is a fantastic marketplace that's very focused on gamers. You're going to find plenty of new and used hardware. You can even sell directly to Jawa. That way you can offset the cost of whatever new GPU you want to buy. I've even listed a GPU on Jawa myself, and I found it a really nice, safe marketplace. Jawa also has a pretty expansive community, such as on Discord, the weekly build emails. It's really, truly a nicely curated gaming community where you can buy, sell, and learn about PC building. And remember to use code WELCOME10 for a nice discount off of your first order. And now let's go back to the video. So I guess the good news about seeing a pile like this of returned 4090s, you can bet the scalper market is at absolute zero. The only person that would pay a scalper price for a GPU is maybe like 1 in a million that has no idea what's going on or has been taken advantage of. But here we see 4090s, 4080s being returned. And when they're returned to a store, it may be different in, different countries. At least here, sometimes they kind of check it, make sure it's okay, and then they put it at a much cheaper price. Like some of these, like for example, there was a 4080, like the Asus Strix. It's like $1,549, which is ridiculous to start with, and then an open box can go down to like $1,300, maybe like $1,200, depending how long it stays there. So you do get a pretty significant discount. Sometimes could be 10, 15, 20%, depending on how long the GPU stays, like in stock as a used product, because remember, they're losing money on this. They already had to take the return. I mean, that is one good thing, at least about the US. The return policy is generally pretty good in a lot of places like Micro Center, Best Buy. Some places like Newegg had to be pushed into having better return policies. Obviously, Amazon has a pretty amazing return policy as well. In general, of course, this is a positive point for consumers, and in a sense, I guess it works out for the companies as well because they get to at least have that as an option. Maybe more people will buy a product knowing if there's a problem, they may return it. I know that when I've bought a product that I wasn't sure was going to be, work well or be perfect, I tend to find a retailer that has a good return policy so I'm not stuck with something with a place that's not going to take it back. Let's say if the product comes damaged, if the company has like a bad reputation or something like that on build quality, it's going to be hit or miss. You don't want to send it for warranty on something you just bought. So that's why good return policy is important. Here, we see gamers returning these GPUs. I'm sure basically all of them work absolutely fine. In fact, of course, obviously the store usually tests them depending on the store to make sure they do. That's not the reason people are returning them. They're returning them because they probably bought it right when they saw the GPU prices and demand tank as well. I know a lot of people maybe didn't want to buy a 4080 or 4090, but then they saw the GPU market at certain points, like earlier on in the year and at the end of last year, and they thought, you know what, this isn't going to get any better. Might as well just buy it. But then things changed pretty rapidly where look at the new GPU release like the RTX 4070. Situation is so dire that Nvidia even is stopping production, as some rumors suggest, in order for there not to be a huge amount of overstock. Look, they are already dealing with a lot of GPUs like RTX 3000 and even the more, in demand RTX 4000 GPUs are now being returned and people aren't buying them. Like the 4090, you can basically get almost anywhere now for MSRP or under. Some places are even starting to discount these GPUs, which is definitely pretty incredible. So looking at these used GPUs, is it something you should consider? Well, if somebody returned them, obviously they think it's a bad idea, and the only benefit to you would be that cheaper open box pricing. Maybe. If it's something that you were going to buy anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying open box products. They're almost literally brand new. And especially from these type of retailers, you're still going to get a return warranty. So if you take it home and a return period is still going to be in effect. If you take it home and it doesn't work for some reason, you just return it in case it was damaged or and they didn't catch it or something like that. So kind of like very little risk. And on some of these GPUs, you're literally saving like $200-300, maybe on, as they get discounted more, could be upwards of like $400 on some of these, 4090s that were overpriced to begin with. So definitely very interesting what's going on in the GPU market. Nvidia just priced them way too high. The cryptocurrency mining for a long time, up until when Ethereum, became not profitable or non-existent, I should say, for mining, certainly was a huge driver of GPU prices. I know Nvidia likes to downplay that, but in my opinion, gamer demand was never as high as they said. So now that gamer demand is really low, it kind of seems even lower than it is because the mining demand disappeared. But if that was put into perspective, I think a lot of people would see that, all right, gaming demand definitely is low. PC sales are low right now. The economy in general across the entire country, the entire world is not really doing very well. So that means that it's going to be lower, but it's probably not as big of a drop as we're thinking, because when we look at graphs of GPU sales from like 2020, 2021, you don't know what's a gamer purchase and what's a crypto miner purchase. A lot of times they're one and the same. I mean, a lot of casual gamers decided to pick up 3 or 4 GPUs to mine casually because it was so profitable at one time. Not even to say anything about the guys that bought, tens and dozens and hundreds of GPUs. That was definitely a huge driving factor. Now that that's gone, I mean, Nvidia is still doing really well in terms of AI GPUs and things like that. Scalpers are actually moving on to that, at least the people who have those GPUs. Some of those AI GPUs, MSRP in like the $30,000 range, and they're going for upwards of $40,000 and more. Stuff like the H100, the ones that are specifically for AI. The good news for gamers is that those GPUs don't intersect into the gamer market. Like, they're not using 4090s, especially these really big companies like maybe crypto miners were using RTX 3000 gamer GPUs. That market completely overlapped, and that's why it really destroyed the gaming market. And we're kind of left picking up the pieces now, as we can see from all these GPU returns and these things that are going on. So at least that remained fairly separate. But now, I guess if you're looking to buy a GPU, it doesn't hurt to take a look at maybe your local retailer. If they sell open box products, you may be able to get a nice discount because they can't even sell the new stuff. So they're going to be more motivated to sell some of these returned GPUs. And some of them, while it's a really bad value proposition, like take a 4070 Ti, for example, if you buy a brand new one, some of them were like $850. I remember when I saw one, Best Buy had an open box one, it went all the way down to $679. That seemed a lot more of a fair price than like $849. But you can bring your GPUs like performance to the dollar you spend down considerably by buying one of these like open box products, and you just don't have a brand new GPU. But let's face it, GPUs typically last a pretty long time, and as long as it's in nice condition, it'll probably almost be brand new anyway. After you use it yourself for a few days, it'll be pretty much like you bought it new, and you can get a significant price savings where you can put towards some of the discounted CPUs, maybe like a 7800X3D. You can put some of it towards that you save on a used GPU. Going to get a lot better performance like that, or maybe even a new power supply, or maybe even a new case or something like that. A lot of these GPUs will need ATX 3.0 in the future. Right now, you can perfectly find getting away with like an older power supply, but as these adapters become more prevalent, you're going to want an ATX 3.0 with PCIe Generation 5. You're going to want that better performance because who knows what's going to happen in the future with new GPU releases and power demands. It's going to be nicer to have like one cable instead of 4 different cables like the 4090, for example, with that adapter. So there's a lot you can do with that price savings if you don't put it towards the cost of a new GPU. And then it's something that kind of goes back in the ecosystem anyway. And then Nvidia probably just stops making as many GPUs as they have been, much like they are doing so right now with the 4070. But the current state of the GPU market definitely pretty insane if you consider everything now is being returned. And of course, it's not just Nvidia, there's AMD GPUs as well. I even saw four 7900 XTX, the faster one, returned, and they're all selling for way under MSRP. They were like 900 and something dollars, where their MSRP was well over $1,000, and it was a power color model. It's not like people are returning the bad, worst type of GPUs. They're returning like Asus Tough and power color GPUs. They're returning GPUs that are typically well regarded and good products. I can see if they're discounting some of the other brands or something like that, but these are the good products that people are returning. So it has nothing to do with the GPU itself. It's just the Nvidia pricing to begin with the performance that you're getting. I think word got around that these prices really suck, and people are not holding on to these GPUs at all. Even if the performance in a lot of cases has been impressive, some of the power efficiency, you have DLSS 3, you do have a lot of performance and a lot of perks with some of these GPUs, but for the prices, a lot of people feel like they just rather keep their RTX 20 series or their 30 series, and I don't blame them. Prices are definitely really high, and you're not getting all that much more for that huge price increase. So something has to change, and this is one of the ways that prices go down, by just stock being in stock, and then they have to lower prices, or else they're just going to have to sell to very few people. All right, guys, so remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.